let's do some other stories. Now, former Attorney General Ayikwe Otu has taken on the National Security Minister, Albert Kan-Dapaah, over his comments that ruling in favor of the government always will make people see the judiciary as biased. Speaking at a sensitization workshop for members of the Superior Court, Albert Kan-Dapaah warned that when judges are perceived to be impartial, it will have when they are seen to be partial, it does have some national security implications, as people will take the law into their own hands. We'll hear from Ayikwe Otu shortly, but first, listen to exactly what Albert Kan-Dapaah said.
Injustice occasioned as a result of the absence of an effective justice delivery system, or delayed justice, or biased justice, is certainly a threat to national security. And indeed, when injustice abounds, particularly in situations where the bench, which is considered as the final arbiter of disputes, is deemed to be biased, citizens tend to take the law into their own hands, most times without recourse to the established systems of justice delivery. And similarly, the failure of the criminal justice system to ensure effective and expeditious trial of criminals adversely impact the morale of law enforcement agencies. It also emboldens criminals to perpetrate more crime and breeds lawlessness among the citizenry, developments which threaten the internal security of the state. If you are going to be able to address the security challenges that we have, especially the domestic ones, we need to be able to ensure that there is a judicial system that works. If we do not have a system, a judicial system that works, many people will simply take the laws into their own hands and misbehave and do what they want. Therefore, in trying to manage the security situation, it is important for us that we do get a judicial system that works. And we are all lucky that in the sub-region, we are perceived as a country where the judicial system works and where you could expect justice. If the interpretation of the law is tilted so much in our favor all the time, people will start accusing the judiciary and will not have the confidence that they need.
Well, that last statement, tilted in our favor all the time, has generated a lot of controversy, with many talking about demanding some further explanation. But speaking on the Super Morning Show this morning, Ayikwe Otu said that Kan-Dapaah should have sought legal advice before making such comments.
Kan-Dapaah, I'm sorry to say that I don't think that he sought legal advice. The judges are taking an oath to do justice to all manner of persons without fear or favor, ill will or affection. Are you saying that when somebody brings a case which is bad, the Supreme Court must give an interpretation to favor that person merely because every time ruling for you will make people feel that there's something wrong? So those who send the cases to court, why do they check themselves before they go? Because clearly, you know what they're going to file, you are going to lose. Then why do you go in the first place? Then you expect the Supreme Court to be playing politics, to say that, oh, I've given 5 NPP, I've given 5 rulings in favor of NPP. So this one I'm going to give a ruling in favor of NDC. It doesn't work that way. Either you have a case or you don't have a case. That is my view of the matter.
Well, speaking on the same subject, security analyst Professor Kwesi Enin argued that there's nothing wrong with the comments made by the National Security Minister. Hear him.
First, that the minister shows true maturity and understanding of the complexities of what insecurities are, or what types of seemingly innocuous, innocent activities can create insecurity. That is one. Number two, the minister's concerns about the role of the judiciary and the perceived independence plus neutrality of their work, I think must be located within the National Security Strategy document that was launched probably a little over a year ago. Now, what the minister seeks to do is to raise an early warning cautionary note about the role of the judiciary, their performance over time, and how that performance feeds into and can create particular perceptions of that critical role that the judiciary plays. All judiciaries are the last stop for mediating tensions and a sense of injustice within societies. And as the last bastion where people can run to and seek a fair assessment of what they may perceive to be injustices or wrongs done against either individuals or groups. And it is more often than not an almost knife's edge relationship amongst all these, contesting parties. And particularly, it is the ability of the judiciary to negotiate these contested territories in a manner that its words and actions are deemed to be fair, objective, neutral, becomes very critical, particularly in seemingly fragile societies.
Let's stay in the courts. The Chief Justice, Kan-Dapaah, has directed trial court judges to strictly adhere to the age-long tradition of calling the cases of senior lawyers first. Now, Justice Kan-Dapaah explains in his office has noted with concern the practice where this tradition is not being adhered to. He insists obeying such a tradition affords junior lawyers the opportunity to learn from their seniors. This is contained in a circular he issued, and we'll bring you the full details shortly. It says the legal profession, as we know, is steeped in traditions and ceremonies. One of the traditions observed is the practice of calling cases of persons whose names are on the roll of lawyers in order of seniority of enrollment, notwithstanding the notion of equality at the bar. This practice, among other benefits, affords the young lawyers the opportunity to learn from senior lawyers to whom they would not ordinarily be exposed to, thus enriching the whole legal training experience beyond what is taught in chambers and other places of work. It has recently been drawn to my attention that some trial judges are not observing this practice in court. Whilst the right to call a case out of turn is not absolute and is exercisable subject to the convenience of the court, for the reasons mentioned above, I would request all trial court judges to strictly adhere to this age-old tradition and resort to inviting applications from seniors first. I hope I can count on your cooperation. So this is a circular from the Office of the Chief Justice to trial court judges. Professor Kweku Asare, however, disagrees with the CJ on this tradition. He says it will be inimical to the justice delivery system. He says parties must be treated equally in our courts. The practice of giving preferences to senior lawyers by calling their cases first can quickly degenerate into giving more weight to what they say, giving them more time, paying less attention to junior lawyers, etc. Furthermore, it sends a signal to clients that if you want your case to move quickly in court, then you better hire a senior lawyer. So let's go on to Zoom right now and speak to the GBA. We have the PRO joining us, Xavier Kujat. Thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. So there are many who share in the opinion of Professor Kweku Asare that this, instead of helping junior judges to actually learn, will be inimical to their growth and indeed to the justice delivery system. Why is that not the case?
Good evening, Alex. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir.
And good evening to your viewers too. And let me explain this. The terminology seniors used in the secular does not mean that senior lawyers, as we know, 10 years and above. What it means is that if you are a lawyer and then you are 1 year at the bar and I am 2 years at the bar, my case should be called before yours. Okay. In any case, the Chief Justice does not give a directive. That is an age-old tradition and ceremony that goes with practice in Ghana.
But if that is not being adhered to, is that not inherent? Does that not send a signal of its irrelevance in our time?
Not at all. Not at all, because every good judge will tell you that a good bench makes a good judge. What do I mean by this? You cannot just read authorities in the books. You must go and apply them. And the understanding you have upon reading might be different when you get to court. And let us all get this. To be able to even know the authorities to read, sometimes you may not know all. You listen to others in court, and when they apply it and mention it, you write it down and come back and read.
But you don't learn all of that in court. I believe that judges prepare before they go to court. They prepare their briefs. And as I know it, I may be wrong, but many junior lawyers work with senior lawyers on cases. And they must have been adequately prepared. Of course, there may be things that will come up in the news, in the courtroom, in the courtroom, but you necessarily don't have to queue in order to learn those, do you?
Yes, I have always maintained that once you consciously elected to become a lawyer, you have elected to be a student for the rest of your life, even if possible in the next world, because the learning continues. Decided cases may not be known to you every time, unless somebody cites them, then you also go and read. And the cases are applications of the statute laws. So you cannot just sit in your office and say that I have a good senior and that is the end, because you may not have the opportunity to meet other lawyers. The only way you meet them is when you listen to them in court. If I want to know about Richard Branson, for instance, I may not be able to meet him. But if I read whatever he writes, I know about Richard Branson.
But there will be several avenues for you to learn from some of these senior lawyers, as the Chief Justice would want juniors to learn from you. The issue is about why your case should be put on hold, necessarily because there is someone who is ahead of you, who is on the roll, who was listed on the roll before you, and not on the merit of the case that you are bringing, or even as the judge deems fit.
Ernest, what we just said, the Chief Justice has power to direct that a particular case, irrespective of the standing of the lawyer at the bar in terms of seniority, should be heard. So it is not as if that circular is saying that from now onwards, never hear any case unless a senior's case is called. It has always been the tradition, and it's been very good. Some of us have benefited from it. There is no practicing lawyer who is very good at practice that will say that what the Chief Justice has said does not add to standards. We are all complaining, or people at least have complained that standards are falling. It is all because traditions and ceremonies that are known to go with legal practice in this country are not being followed. So for me, I'm all for it. The Chief Justice hasn't done anything wrong. It doesn't sound discriminatory in any way. In any case, the clients even stand to benefit, because
how is that? When Mr. Kuje, you charge me per the hour. If my lawyer happens to be a junior, goes to the court on a particular court day, meets several seniors in court, it means that my case would be delayed and perhaps the rest of the day wasted. That will be additional cost to me. Doesn't it work that way?
No, you see, don't presume that your case is the only case to be heard by the courts. And that is why we call it proceedings. It is not a court. Court proceedings are not events. It doesn't happen one-off. If you have one application that is heard that day and it is disposed of, fair enough. But if you're in a case that will run the full hall, you must follow the processes and the procedures.
But every proceeding comes at a cost to the client. And that is very important, which is the issue Professor Asari raises, that if this continues, then clients will be forced to go in for very senior lawyers who can fast-track their cases simply because they are senior lawyers. Their cases will be heard probably earlier, and they can get the justice that they seek. And that is too expensive.
Once again, I think you've taken the circular out of context. The circular pertains to court proceedings on a particular day.
Yes.
It doesn't say that if a senior lawyer's case is pending before a court, it should be singled out, heard and completed before a junior's case is attended to. That is not the intent of the circular. The circular intends to say that if a number of lawyers are in court on the same day, it is preferable, or they are advised that for purposes of learning, those who are seniors to others in court benefit to learn, so their cases should be called first. It doesn't mean that will be the practice, that they single out a senior's cases to be heard and completed before juniors. So there is no injustice that will be occasioned anybody in this instance.
Well, we'll leave it here. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Kuje. Thank you very much. That's the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association. You're watching Joy News Prime.